Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode. Before we get started, I really wanted to highlight one of the amazing things that May is known for, and that is Teachers Appreciation Month. So I am delighted to say that this episode, as well as next week, will feature teachers within the Bahamas, namely New Providence, who are doing incredible work to inspire and motivate our students and our youth daily. So, here at Vibration, we want to say thank you to all of the teachers around the world, and of course, all of the teachers within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas who continue to share their insight, their knowledge, and their experience with our students. So, everyone, welcome to Vibration, where we empower individuals to speak their distinct truth, passions, and personal message on a global online stage. I'm your host, Michelle McDonald, passionate foodie, author, and entrepreneur, and continuing under the theme of striving to improve food security and sustainability in the Bahamas, we are discussing the topic of youth impact and entrepreneurship through agriculture. Our guest tonight is Mr. Shomekhan Cargill, who's an agriculture teacher to 7th and ninth grade students at the Nash Junior High School, located here in New Providence, Bahamas. Prior to this, he was also involved in community agriculture and projects, including inner city community gardens, as seen in areas such as Lewis Street off of East Street. He is no stranger to farming, as he is a farmer of 12 years and counting, as well as the proud owner of Well Mudda Fungus, which features premier locally grown gourmet mushrooms and has been seen at various farmers markets such as Dungalik Studios Art Gallery and the Farmers Market at Gladstone. Mr. Cargill, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you so much. The pleasure's mine, Ms. McDonald.
Thank you. With over 12 years in farming, it is absolutely known that this is a passion for you, something that you feel strongly connected to and love. Can you tell us more about your agricultural journey and also what led you to teaching?
Um, well, I've always had a passion for, I guess non-traditional spaces in terms of for working, I should say. So I don't have any interest of being inside all day. So, growing up with a background of being outdoors and, fishing and, growing like native fruit trees in the yard and things like that, it felt like a pretty natural transition. Um, I did the SIS program at the College of the Bahamas at the time with a focus in sustainable agriculture. And as you mentioned, I was involved in a lot of community-based projects because as a young person in agriculture, many people face this hurdle of having, I guess, the means to, start a farming enterprise. And that's one of the major challenges in industry. So you end up, working at a company, or you start and you offer your services in consultancy and work on project development, which is what the route I took. Eventually, my old agriculture teacher, Mr. Aziz, who did amazing work at H&R School, which I attended, contacted me over the summer and convinced me, I should say, over the course of the summer to, as he was retiring, to take over. And that's how I ended up at H&R.
Excellent. Thank you. And so, of course, we have to give a special thank you to that teacher for
Oh,
bringing you
definitely.
along.
Every day. I still talk to him to this day. So regularly ask him for advice, and he's been in the sector for decades, and he's done an amazing job laying the foundation and the infrastructure at HLR. So many of the projects and programs that we have at the school would have been originated by him. I just had to expand on it.
Awesome. That's amazing. And so it's so beautiful to be able to see how persons are able to pay it forward. So he was an inspiration to you. You
Most
were able
definitely.
to pass that on. You've kept the connection with him, and both of you are teachers. So that's amazing. That's a
Yeah,
great
and one
story.
of my former students now should be starting in September as a teacher's aide at the School of Agriculture. So, like you said, it's paying it forward.
Yes. And congratulations to them for that. That is so
Okay.
great to see. So, education is the foundation of preparing our youth for the wider world, giving them life skills that they are able to implement and create a future specific to themselves. And having agricultural studies in the high schools is paramount. I applaud you for working closely with the 7th and ninth grade students at the school and also providing a fresh perspective on agriculture. Can you share some details on the program there at HO Nash and also the farm located in the area?
Okay, so basically at Nash, we teach grade 7 to grade 9, so inclusive of grade 8. And we do mixed farming. We have poultry. Usually we do broilers, and
Mm.
we also do egg production layers. So we do meat birds as well as we produce eggs. We sell eggs. We do sheep and goat. We also have a piggery where we raise. We don't breed pigs. We buy piglets, raise them for slaughter. Um, we breed ducks and turkeys, as well as we have cattle. So cows and bulls and stuff that we also raise for meat. So we have, tying into my other skill sets. We do a number of construction based things at the school because we're always building, as well as we do things a little bit different. So we will, sometimes we grow mushrooms, sometimes we fix a fence, sometimes we build a building. So it all depends on whatever we have to do that week, that day, and that's what we have to do.
I like that. It sounds very all inclusive. So it lets them know that there is more to agriculture than produce. These are all of the different aspects of it. It kind of helps them to get like their feet wet and their hands dirty to
Correct.
understand it entirely. And then also gives them that advantage of understanding which part of it do they see themselves in, which one do I want to explore more and to
Yeah.
study.
So we our focus is basically introduction, in terms of getting them associated with the industry. So we know not many of them will go on to actually pursue careers in the industry, but we hope that the experience is something that they can carry with them to the rest of their lives, and we hope that they can learn skills that can translate to other things. So in terms of not being afraid to do new things, or because coming into a school, most of these kids have never seen or been up close to any of these animals, and getting over the fear of handling and dealing with them, or getting over the fear of getting dirty, like literally dirty, and so like going through these process and overcoming these obstacles provides them with confidence, and so that will be translated into their later years, because we work on a feeder school system.
Mm-hmm.
So from H and Nash, most of the students go to CR Walker, and there's no agriculture program there. So if they want to pursue agriculture, they have to go to either GHS or CB Bethel. Like that would be where they would go. So most of them, because of where they live, tend to go to CR Walker. So we have to encourage them to then join summer programs, or sign up for the magnet program. That requires a bit more support from their family members and other things to that. But definitely, we see some interest in terms of those who would like to carry it on and make a career out of it.
Excellent. I love being able to hear that because that was actually a part of my second question is in understanding that here in the Bahamas, farming has been one of the continued industries that gives back to the community. And through the agriculture programs at HO Nash, you are actually creating an aspect of food security and placing it in their hands. And so it's good to hear that it is having an impact on them and that you have seen an increase in agriculture. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, we definitely see interest. We definitely see interest in it, but definitely there are some challenges that need to be overcome on a societal level that inhibits them from going on to make meaningful careers. That those are the challenges that we need to bring to light. So hopefully, with more students being interested in it, then there'll be more demand and more pressure to see real change in the industry.
Yes, I agree. And I appreciated that you had mentioned the schools that are highlighting agriculture, the high schools you mentioned with Government High as well as CV Bethel. And so it's good to know that there are those options out there, and that there is something that the students can look forward to as they progress after HO Nash.
Yeah,
So we
definitely
do
there.
have. Go
There are
ahead.
other schools that do agriculture. Let me to clarify too, like other senior high schools, but just those are the ones that they tend to go to. So there are Anatol and C.I. Gibson, other schools, other senior high schools definitely teach agriculture as well.
Excellent. Excellent to know. So we have a comment here from Zakita Bethel. She says, excellent program there. The livestock program there is one of the best in the country. So we definitely have a fan who is tuned in.
Yeah, that's one of my colleagues in the industry. Definitely, she's familiar with what we have going on down there.
Awesome. Awesome. So you have worked outside of the school system, working very closely with the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Culture with their apprentice programs and the inner city gardens. Can you tell us more about these experiences and the communities that you've worked with?
Okay, so well, usually in the summertime, the ministry you puts on are summer camps or apprenticeship programs. The apprenticeship programs are generally geared towards older individuals, late teens, early 20s. You know, it's an older crowd, and so the goal and the aim is to get them, go to leave with a skill or familiarize themselves with an industry that they could potentially use as a career path. So because I teach 7 and 9, I usually teach in boys. And
Mhm.
so by working with the Ministry of Youth program, it helps me work with adults, and you can have a different level of conversation in terms about, the future and different things that are going on in the industry, and be, very frank. And, so it's a good experience to work with those individuals. And several of them have expressed over the years, have expressed interest. So I've known of their businesses that they are currently involved in. Some of them went on to go to Bahamas and other institutions. So
Lovely.
working along with that program is definitely rewarding. And in terms of the community development projects and stuff like that, then you work along with a very diverse group of individuals. So it could be kids, like basically toddlers. The whole community comes up. So
Wow.
you never know. And some weeks you never get the same group of kids. Sometimes you see the guys who're supposed to be in the program riding past you on a bike. You
Oh,
know,
no.
that's just how it goes. So you work with them as you're very patient.
Mm-hmm.
And you understand that there's no magic bullet for this,
Yes.
and you are dealing with individuals who have a very diverse socioeconomic background, and they
Mm-hmm.
have a whole myriad of challenges that they face in their daily lives. So, small steps, incremental steps, in terms of exposure and working along with them, and the industry is is ripe for development, but also still very, there's a ways to go.
Yes, I totally understand that. So you had mentioned that there are challenges from a societal basis, as well in regard to ensuring that all of the high schools do have an agriculture program to kind of keep the students involved, right? So if they've gotten it at one level, being able to find it at another. So what exactly keeps you motivated to teach agriculture, be a part of all of these programs, knowing that all of these other factors do exist?
Um, Boy, it's the individual students. In grade 7, we teach in junior high school. You teach a very interesting developmental stage, because after grade 6, with the little kids, by the time they're in grade 9, you see them transitioning into manhood.
Yes.
And so, in the middle of that, somewhere one day you wake up and they have beards and they're taller than you, and you see these individuals, and then you see them again in the community 2 3 years later as men. And that interaction, the fact they remember you, the fact that they can remember doing these things on the farm, and that gives you a sense of joy.
Yes.
It keeps you going. But the problem is that that is basically the reason why all teachers keep going, and teachers basically prop up the system, because it doesn't lend itself to really understanding that the system is inherently underfunded, underdeveloped. And so you have individuals who are basically underpaid, funding these projects and programs with their time, with their physical resources. And so you have this balance of exhausting yourself for the system because it's
Mm.
for the kids, because you can never say, I don't care about these kids. But on
Yes.
the other hand, it's like the system is not doing enough, and and so we need on a societal level to really look at that, not just for agriculture, but for education in the whole. Because I remember in your introduction, you mentioned about preparing the kids for the real world. And
Yes.
it begs the question, are we preparing the kids for the real world? And what does the real world really consist of?
Yes, absolutely. And yes, teachers are doing an amazing job. You all sacrifice all the time. Students see it. I am very fond of my teachers. So, similar to you, I have a few that I remember for the impacts that they made on my life. I wouldn't have understood everything that they went through, like what you had described. But it's so amazing that you all just keep the vision at the head of it. Despite the students that you see, and as you stated, persons that come into the community for the gardens, and then the next week they don't show up, but you stay consistent. Teachers remain consistent in their vision and what they came to do and making a difference in those students' lives. So, not only do you teach farming and are passionate about agriculture, but you also found entrepreneurship through it with your business, Well Mudda Fungus, which specializes in beautiful, locally grown gourmet mushrooms. I've seen it. The colors are amazing. There's the blue, the golden, the pink, absolutely gorgeous. So, what made you use agriculture as the catalyst to creating your business?
Well, I mean, yeah, it was my profession, so I just started to start a business in what I'm familiar with. So there is room for successful businesses in the sector, and so we took the myself and my colleagues we took the plunge, and we worked in several different. We currently work on several different capacities in the sector, and so we chose mushrooms because mushrooms is, if you Google, most valuable crops, it comes up on the top 10 list. So say, okay, let's go with that. That's what we do. Because we grow in a 40-foot container,
Mm.
climate controlled, we have, so we are posed with a number of challenges. In order to do agriculture, it's very input intensive. So you need to have land and resources and other things like that. So in order to meet those challenges, we we had to be creative, but also borrow or utilize solutions from other places. So by growing in a container, we don't have to worry about the change in season. We have some level of protection during storm events, as well as it is an efficient use of space.
Mm.
So having limited access to land resources and things like that. So it we were forced into our niche where we are trying to thrive.
Yes, and trust me, I'm sure you know the Bahamian public loves your products. I see photos everywhere, Instagram and Facebook. Everyone's talking about their mix boxes. And honestly, like you stated, this is a true niche market because we haven't had something that focuses specifically on gourmet mushrooms here. And so you've really brought something to our community and our market here in the Bahamas that is extremely distinct. Very distinct.
Yeah, we have to try. You have to be very creative. It's not without its challenges, and it begs the question. How far can creativity take individuals at the sector? So you say, okay, well, people applaud you for being creative,
Mm-hmm.
but I think sometimes we have to look at creativity born from need necessity for survival.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we not looking more at the conditions that brought about our need to be so creative just to survive, to function? And I think that not only just as an individual, but looking at my colleagues in the sector, it's difficult. There are challenges. I can't stress that enough. There's a number of things that would have to change for not only us to thrive, but for anyone else to be able to say that this is an industry that I can go into and not have to be like a highlight story of success, because the one who made it out means that there's a lot of people who didn't make it out, and we want
Yeah.
everyone to be able to just survive and do well in this industry.
Yes, I agree. And I understand where you're coming from. The green economy is a sector that a lot of us can thrive from. With farming being done on multiple islands here, that there is that potential. And as you stated, what is being put in place so that there are more stories, more businesses similar to yourself, and everyone is thriving, learning. We are advancing from the challenges that we would have had, and just kind of identifying what can be done to ensure that this continues on a constant basis.
Definitely, it depends. And like I say, when I say it on a societal level, we have to decide as a people what type of life do we want. Do we want what is more important? See, most people buy with their dollar, they buy on price,
Yes.
and based on the conditions that are like global at this time, things are getting harder. It's hard on everybody.
Mhm.
So the cost of production for us is going up. Every single day it's going up. The cost of energy is going up. The cost of labor is going up. And with inflation, what you could buy with your $10 is going down. So in a market like that, we import feed, we import chicks, we import all the raw materials of production. So when we say local, we are trying our best to survive in an industry like that, where cheap imports are something that, it's almost impossible to tell the small consumer not to try and, not to buy for their own survival.
Yeah.
So those individuals who can afford to support local in whatever ways possible while, the local producers are trying to meet, I think then hopefully we can work hand in hand and we can see an increase in that cooperation moving forward, in order to ensure that we always have, you know local producers still in the market in case we need them. Because it's always going to be cheaper to, well, not always, but in many instances it's going to be cheaper to buy, to import. But we want to be able to have that backup, that safety net in terms of food security here. You need local producers.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that's why the presence of the different farmers markets are extremely important. And you raise a point, which is that we have to decide the quality of life that we want to live, that we want to have. And yes, persons really do purchase based on the price line, right? And sometimes even in regards to perfection, right? So we always want the produce that doesn't have any marks. It just looks absolutely flawless. But we're not thinking about the value that that part of the produce is going to have in our lives, right? The
Right.
way that food affects other aspects of it, and how valuable food security is to ensuring that all of us here can live a fuller quality of life.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, like there's lack of thought. That's the biggest issue. And there's on a consumer level, when you question, okay, why is it that I need a banana that looks a particular way, or why is it I need unblemished fruit, or why is it I eat, rice and not sweet potatoes regularly? Like, these are things that are questions that, as a society, that can be asked through policy, through advocacy. Things can change, but also, a lot of people say, on one hand, you have individuals who want handouts from the government, but we also can't take all the responsibility away from policymakers, because they are responsible to the general public. The general public is not aware of the dire situation we're actually in. And
Mhm.
so we as a society, we mostly focus on the good news. And to be frank, I prefer to focus on the issues that I could deal with them and I could go home and sleep. That's the type of individual that I am. I don't want to hear about what is good. Let me know what's going wrong so I can deal with it and go home. That's my main focus. So here we are in a situation where, when we announce a project, for example, a school donation or whatever like that, and we announcing this program for youth in agriculture, we still haven't addressed the fact that we are trying to encourage, or quote unquote, but encouraging students to enter a field that requires means, and
Yeah.
we have not made it available for them to have. So if the students enter this field, most of the individuals who enter this field are not the ones who come from wealthy families, only to find that there's no land available for them, there's no money available for them, there's nothing. you sent these individuals into a dark hole, and so if that's not being addressed, if that's not being thought out, then we're doing them a disservice. So that those are just a small fraction of the issues that people go through, and so as you enter the industry that is not insured, so you could spend, it's capital intensive, you could spend thousands of dollars building up something for a hurricane to come and just take it all away. You're dealing with thieves constantly, dog attacks constantly, you're dealing with loss every single day. You don't make any money until your produce is sold. And anywhere in there, whether it be disease, act of God, theft, you could lose it all. It sucks. It sucks. And we have to say it sucks. But only a select group of individuals want to do it. And those individuals should be rewarded. The students who show interest, there should be easier ways to get scholarships, easier ways for them to access funding and other things, for them to build homes, for them to achieve the things that everyone else wants in life, to be able to enjoy and take care of their family and things like that as well. And so you have individuals, young people, who come from less privileged homes, or it's anybody, because everybody, medical expenses are high. You have aging parents, so these young individuals now have so many choices to make. And if you plant a tree that's not going to bear within 3 years, and people say you could do cash crops, and how much it costs to fence an acre of land, how much does it cost to clear land? How much it costs to do these things? When you start talking thousands and thousands of dollars, it's almost impossible for them to do. And so it's like, it sounds very bleak, but there are people who are battling that storm right now, like myself. Yeah. There's many other people doing it. And so, it's easy to call a spade and look at fixing the problems so that it'll be easier for everyone.
Yes.
So hopefully we remain hopeful, and we remain present.
Yes. And thank you for that, for bringing to light the other aspect of what food entrepreneurs within agriculture go through on a regular basis. And I'm sure that this is also the type of information that you mentioned to your students, so that they understand, the wide perspective of what to expect when getting into the field. And that's with any type of business.
Yeah, for sure. We know that. We know that it's not unique. We know right now the global situation being it is, and whether you want to open up a clothing store or open up a restaurant, there are challenges. There are definite challenges. And so that if food security is as important as we like to say, then special measures need to be taken. Special measures need to be taken. Like, for example, myself, you don't pay agriculture teachers anything special. They are relatively underpaid. So if you can't even encourage people to teach agriculture, you can't encourage people to do agriculture. Nobody wants to do it. Why would you want to do it? Who would want to? So those individuals who want to do it, make life easier for them.
Yes.
Make life easier for them. And some boys want to do it, and it goes back to education as a whole and preparing them for the real world.
Yes.
Some individuals are, what we would call academically inclined, quote unquote, and want to go on and get, PhDs in different fields, in agriculture specifically, and, want to work in a lab, and some people don't. Some of the boys who may be troubled or not doing so well in school, if we allow them career paths that were more technical based and allowed them to say, okay, well, look, we need you to be able to feed yourself and your family, whether that be through agriculture or some other hard skill. Let's start working on you now. Let's not let you waste another 4 years of your life in senior high school from grade 9 to grade 12 and then be lost in a society that you transition from a boy to a man without the skills necessary to, as you put earlier, survive in the real world. So if we did maybe, allow these boys who may not be that book smart, as people would say, but they could raise a pig. I've watched the boys, young boys from grade 7 to grade 9, by the time they finish, they could raise a pig.
Nice.
They could kill a chicken, and they could feed the animals. They understand. They may not understand what the bacterium or what the virus is that cause particular things, but they know that when you see, the white stuff in the eye, you put this medicine in the water. They know that. So, there's room for us, but we have to stop pretending as if that, everyone is the same. I mean, they say, okay, well, some boys ain't the same, or girls for that matter, and let's make it easy for them to do what they need to do. But hopefully, one day, we solve the problem so we all can go home and sleep.
Yes, I agree. And the thing is, at the end of the day, I want you to know, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you are doing something extremely fundamental in these students' lives. Being able to highlight what exactly they may not be getting in society right now, but what you are actually able to give them through everything that you're teaching them with the courses at HO Nash.
Yep, definitely. And hopefully, one day, there will be more individuals, doing it, and all. It doesn't have to come it doesn't come at personal cost.
Yes.
It isn't like something where you have to sacrifice yourself to do. It's just something that is worthwhile financially.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So, are there any highlights or upcoming programs within agriculture? And how exactly can we support the students more at HO Nash Junior High School?
When we having sales, we put out flyers on WhatsApp. They're pretty popular. So definitely look out for those. Right now we tapering down towards summer, so we're just working on fixing the infrastructure. So not so much. Definitely. We sell eggs, but we basically at capacity with eggs right now. And so, but when we kill meat, we send out flyers. So we go to the local abattoir and we process beef there, we process pork there, and so send out the flyers. And so by buying the meat, it helps to go into the program. So basically, try and be as self sufficient as possible at the farm. So all the money goes back into the program. So it helps. It helps. It goes a long way. The support is definitely necessary, and we feel it. We do feel the support from parents, especially, and from people in the
Awesome.
community. Shout out to people in the Stapleton community, which is very close to the school. They come over, in
Nice.
droves. So we really respect that. Um, and not only us, support other schools. Support whatever school
Hmm.
you're close to. Shoot down there. Ask. If it might just be a pickaxe or a shovel or a cutlass, and say, hey man, I buy you two cutlass. I buy you two pair of rubber boots. Kids love rubber boots, and they mess them up a lot. So $20 pair of rubber boots. These are things that will go a long way. And
Hmm.
show us that we transitioning from those things being at the back burner of our mind to actively supporting the programs that lead or help to lead us into the realm of potentially looking at the solutions for food security. And I mean, at the end of the day, talk is cheap and money buy
Hmm.
land. That's what we start out our class saying, and the first class of the year. Talk is cheap and money buy land.
There you go. And that's a good thing to keep in mind.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So thank you for those points. Some really great ways that we are able to support with our donations, of course, with the sales and everything like that. And just, dipping into this form of food security that HO Nash is doing within that part of the community. So, Shomekhan, thank you so much for filling our night with highlights of the great work that you are doing with the students at HO Nash in the area of agriculture and how it is having a positive impact on all of them on a consistent basis. These students are constantly being empowered with the aspect of food security that is within their control, and also one that teaches discipline, planning, and accountability. They can not only learn, but similar to you, they can create a business while helping to reduce the need for imported produce. To connect with Mr. Cargill regarding supporting his local business and ordering your special box of premier gourmet mushrooms, you can contact him at 805-2407. And to support the HO Nash agriculture programs, you can call the school at 323-6489. This
You gave,
episode, go ahead.
you gave up my my personal number.
Yeah.
The company number is different. You just hit us up on any social media. We got Instagram, Facebook, everything like that. No problem. Just
Okay,
call my
no
personal.
problem. So what
Okay.
I'll do, I'll actually put that in the comments, the direct line for the company.
Yeah.
I'll put that in there so that they can contact you there and place their orders.
Hmm.
So tonight's episode is proudly sponsored by Amber L, a local artisan skincare brand who encourages you to nourish your everyday skin glow. A special thank you to our audience for watching, and also our guest speaker tonight, who is continuing to do an amazing job to create impact on our youth in regards to entrepreneurship and agriculture. If you are just tuning in or missed most of this episode, you can watch the full replay on our Facebook page. And we invite everyone to tune in next week for our new episode of Vibration, where we raise your frequency and amplify your truth. See you next week.